Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to part 3 of the series Awakening to Purpose. Today we are going to look at the topic, the anatomy of purpose. And the theme of today's section is understanding the components of an individual purpose. So today we want to look at the things that make up an individual purpose. The goal of this series is that at the end of this series, the participants, you that is listening, you that is watching this video, will be equipped with information that will help you, that will be instrumental when you embark on the journey of self-discovery, when you embark on the journey of discovering the purpose of your life. So that is why, this series, like I said, is a master class. Is going to be exhaustive. So we are still on the foundation of purpose. And if you're going to understand purpose, you need to understand what comprises purpose. We have talked about what purpose is. On day 2, we talked about why purpose matters. And today we want to look at the things that make up an individual purpose. So purpose is not a single job you do. Purpose is an intersection of your gifts, right? Of your passion, of your interest, of the problem you see in society. During the first day, I said that purpose is like a thread. It's like a thread that weaves your passion, your gifts, your interests, your values, and the problem you see in society that you are driven to address. So purpose is a thread that weaves these things together into a cohesive story. So purpose is not just a thing you do, it's not a role you play. We are going to look at that and try to distinguish between purpose and role. So we are going to look at some key points that will help us to understand this topic today. Number 1 is purpose is multifaceted. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that, of course, purpose is not just a career. Purpose is a combination of certain things. So purpose is a combination of who you are. That is your identity, right? What you are passionate about, what you are good at, what you care about, what the world needs. We're going to look at this briefly, one after the other. So let us look at identity. What is identity? Identity is who you are, your essence, right? Identity is who you are without your role. We all play different roles in our life, in our job, in our workplace, in our relationship. You can be a mother, you can be a father, you can be a supervisor, you can be a manager, you can be a banker. But those are roles, they are not identity. Your identity is the unique way you see the world. Your identity is the values that consistently guide your decision. It's important that we understand this, right? Your identity are the values that consistently guide your decisions. The qualities that defines your presence. Identity is your soul's fingerprint. We have nearly 8 billion people in the world, right? And scientists have made us to understand that an individual, that each and every one of us, we have a unique fingerprint. That means that your fingerprint is so unique that nobody has your fingerprint. Do you get that? The combination of DNA, RNA that make up your fingerprint is so unique. That is, your DNA sequence is so unique that it stands alone. So your identity is so unique that nobody else in the world has your identity. Nobody else sees the world you see it. Nobody else has your values. So your identity is your soul's fingerprint. When you align the things you do, your life, your work with your identity, you will notice that your life will become more meaningful. That fulfillment is no longer something that you push to tomorrow. Fulfillment and life satisfaction becomes something that happens to you every single day, because you have aligned your life with your identity, with your unique values, with your soul's fingerprints. And this is aligning your values, aligning the things you do with your identity, result to a kind of success that I call soul success. Is your soul definition of success. Your soul definition of success. I like to draw a point. I like to draw a verse from the Christian scripture. There's a place it says in Joshua, right? Some of you that are conversant with the Bible, you will understand this. It says, meditate the word of God day and night, something like that, so that thou might have good success. Now, there are success that I believe are good, and there are bad success. A good success is a success, in my definition, what I'm trying to say is the one that is in alignment with your soul definition, with the longings of your soul. We have the soul and we have the ego. The ego here is not pride. The ego is a false sense of who you are. So it's important that you understand and uncover your identity, right? What are the things that you value? What are your values? What are the unique way you see the world? So let us go to the second thing that make up purpose. We are going to look at passion, right? What you are passionate about is also a pointer to what your purpose might be. What is passion? Passion is not just what you do. When we talk about passion, most times we think about passion as something that gets you excited, right? Passion is something that is always loud. Passion is, you think about passion, you think about, people like Cristiano Ronaldo, people like Messi, right? People like Mbappe, they are playing football. You can see that drive. You can see that, that energy. Passion is not always like that. So what is passion? Passion is the fire in your soul. Get this. Passion is the fire in your soul. I'm going to wipe this, okay, so that I will, make this point clear. So passion is the fire in your soul. Passion is the emotional fuel that drives you to create, to guide, to teach, to innovate, to lead in a particular area, in a particular field. So passion is an emotional fuel. Is it fuel or fear? Is an emotional fuel that drives you to create, to serve, to lead, to contribute. Not because you have to. Pay attention. Not because you have to, not because you are obliged to do that, but because you want to. So passion is not coming from a place of duty or obligation. It is coming from a place of love. It is coming from a place of contribution. It is coming from a place of driven. So passion is not driven by fear. It is not driven by obligation. It is driven by love. It is driven by freedom. It is driven by meaning. Passion is not a fixed career. It's not just a single thing, right? It is a clue. Passion is important. It's important that we get this. Passion is a clue. I've wiped this out. All right. So passion is a clue. Is a pointer to what your purpose might be, to that unique contribution that you are meant to give to the world. Your passion reveals, pay attention, listen to this. Your passion reveals what captures your heart and attention, what energizes you even when it is hard. Pay attention. Passion reveals what captures your heart and attention, what energizes you. Before I started this video, I was tired. I just came back from the gym and I was tired. My body needed to rest. But because of some other things I had to do today, I decided I have to do this because I needed to do this video today. I decided to do it. But somehow, as I just started making this video, talking about this thing, I can feel this energy, this field of energy inside me, right? So what I'm doing now is energizing me. It doesn't drain me. Somehow it gives me energy, and I cannot really explain, but I know. So passion reveals what energizes you. So it's important you pay attention, right, in your day-to-day activity as you are experiencing things, as you are exploring life. What are the things that energizes you? What are the things that you do? You feel alive. You feel this energy inside of you. Is a pointer. Passion reveals itself in what matters deeply to you. Now, this is very, very important. The things that matters to you deeply is a pointer to the contribution you are here to make. Is a pointer to how you can change the world, to the impact you can make in our nation. For example, I use myself as an example. One of the things that matters to me so deeply is how we are doing education in Nigeria. I see the way we are doing education as just a way to produce employees, right? Education in Nigeria at the secondary level is like we are preparing students to pass WAEC, to pass JAMB. It matters to me. I care so much about it, and I want to help. I want to contribute. I am working currently, with a school, trying to guide them, trying to help them to come up with, how can we start teaching students so that we don't just put facts into their head. We can groom them and encourage them and help them to identify the things that they care about, how they can make a difference in the society, how they can become independent thinkers, how they can become people who will come out and they think in terms of starting a business, starting a project, becoming leaders. Because leadership is not about position. Leadership is that you find out something you care about, something that touches your heart, and you step up to do something about it. And when you are passionate about that, people follow you because passion inspires. You can think of anything. If you see a person who is passionately singing on the streets, you are forced to listen. It touches something in your heart. If you see somebody who is passionate about teaching any subject you think in class that is boring, which subject is boring in class? Okay, let's say basic technology, right? I mean, in those days it was very, very boring. Or let's say mathematics. Some people say, I don't like mathematics. If you find a teacher who cares so much, not you passing WAEC, they bring a kind of flavor in the classroom. The way they teach that, it sparks something in the heart of the students. So what are the things that deeply matters to you? Write them down. What are you willing to suffer for? When we talk about passion is not just all that rosy. The pursuit of passion is not that rosy. Passion is coming from the root word pati, and pati is a Latin word which means to suffer. So passion comes from a Latin word pati, and pati means to suffer. When we talk about the passion of Christ, right? The guy came and he suffered, according to the narrative, right? I mean, according to the story, he left the heavenly places where he was comfortable, where he was a God. Then he came down here to suffer because it was his passion. So what are you willing to suffer? That is your passion. I was listening to a leadership message by Miles Moron. He said something. He said Dr. Martin Luther King. He said at a point, he was having problem with his opposition, with people who wanted him to die. They threw a lot of, stones into their house through the windows that nearly injured his children. But he had an appointment to go to one of his church, to a church, to preach, to deliver the message. And his wife was, why do you have to go? The guy said, I have to go. At this point, it doesn't matter. I mean, this guy was comfortable, but he was willing to suffer for a cause that he believed in. So passion is not just about doing something that you enjoy, doing something that energizes you. It's also about what you are willing to suffer for. So what you are willing to suffer for is a pointer to your passion. And that is also a pointer to the unique contribution you are here to make. When you get to that point in your life that you are willing to do something and you tell yourself that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you look stupid. It doesn't matter whether you fail. You have reached a point, where you are willing to make an impact. And you are a leader. Because leaders, I'm not talking about positional leadership. Because leaders are people who don't care about themselves. They don't care about their comforts. That's a cause that they are driven to pursue. And they are willing to suffer for it. They are willing to be called a fool for it. Where there is passion, there is often purpose beneath. Like I've mentioned before that passion does not always look like enthusiasm. To some person, it's not often loud because some person says, I don't have passion. I don't know what I'm passionate about. Listen to this. Passion can sometimes shows up as a curiosity you can't ignore. Right? A curiosity you can't ignore. That is something that you are curious about, and no matter how you want to ignore it and focus on making a living, that curiosity keeps resurfacing. It keeps coming up. It's as if you cannot ignore it. It is a pointer to what your passion is. It's a pointer to your purpose. So don't just sweep it under the pocket. Don't just try to forget it. Pay attention to it. For some, passion can also show up as a reoccurring idea or vision. I've always had this idea that somehow doesn't want to go. A vision that does not want to go. This idea of creating an academy, right? A kind of a non-traditional school where children come and they are trained. It's not just 1 year stuff where they are trained and it is personal, right? It is individual. It's not just a group thing where children are trained to discover who they are, what they care about, the kind of impact they want to make in society, and they are mentored. They are mentored to become the leader that is in them. This idea have been, it has been there, right? It's always recurring. The vision is always recurring. Sometimes I sleep, I dream about it. So it's a pointer to the kind of difference that I have been designed, equipped to make in society. Passion can also show up as a deep sense of injustice in the society you want to fix, right? a deep sense of injustice in the society that you are driven, not because other people are now raising placard, but this one is personal to you. It might be relationship, it might be poverty, it might be ignorance, it can be anything, but is something that is happening in society, an injustice that feels so personal to you. Passion can also show up as a persistent longing to serve in a particular area. A persistent longing to serve in a particular area. So these are the things that that can reveal your passion. So don't just look at passion as just as an excitement. It's not always like that. Pay attention to the things that keep coming back, to the things that is calling you, to the things that you are driven to. Passion can grow, right? Passion is not always instant or obvious. Sometimes it grows with time and experience, right? You might start something out of necessity. You might start something because you want to survive. And on the long run, while you are doing that, you begin to see yourself caring about that. You begin to care about that. You begin to see this deep interest in that. So right now, you might feel that, I don't know my passion. I don't know but what I'm trying to tell you is that passion can grow. So that is why it's important that you explore, right? Explore things. Explore and reflect deeply. And also be honest with yourself in terms of what drains you and the things that energizes you. Passion is not always found. It is also developed, right? It's also developed. Like I've said, you can be doing something out of necessity and you develop a deep interest for it. And you want to make a difference in that area, in that sector. Now, it's important that we don't confuse passion with role. Right? Passion is not role. Passion versus role. So it's important that we don't confuse passion with role. Passion is not role. Role can change. Role is something you do at some point in your life. It's also important that we don't confuse passion or mistaken passion for the needs of your ego, right? It's not everything that you do is your passion. It's not everything that you enjoy doing or that excites you, that you're excited when you are doing it, is your passion. I personally enjoy playing table tennis, but table tennis is not my passion. Table tennis is not a way I can express myself fully, authentically. Table tennis is not how I can contribute to the world in the most authentic way. So that is how I know it is not my passion. I don't have a deep interest in table tennis or this longing to be an expert in table tennis. It is something I do, So it's important that you are able to differentiate hobbies and passion. It's okay to have hobbies. It's okay to have things that you do for recreational purposes, but don't confuse that for passion. Now we have talked about passion. We really spend time in talking about passion. So another thing that is that make up purpose is, we talked about passion, what you are good at, gifts. We talked about what you care about. We also talked about what the world needs. I think I've talked about these values and causes. Okay, we are going to look at briefly, purpose evolves, right? Purpose evolves. So purpose is, at the core, purpose remains the same, but roles can change, right? Roles can change. Your role might change over time, but your core longings, values, and the kind of impact you desire to make remains the same. Your purpose might be expressed in different roles as you move through life. So this is important because you can express this, you can communicate the same message, right, as a teacher or as a speaker, and also as a musician. Like I said, your purpose is the message you want to communicate to the world. It's something you want to tell the world. That remains unchanged. But as you move through life, you might notice some other rules that will help you to express yourself efficiently. So somebody might be a speaker and something happened that they can no longer talk, or they don't have that energy to talk. They can also communicate what they want to communicate. They can also pass that message through writing. Like I said, it's important that we distinguish between purpose and roles. Role can change, but purpose is the same. A teacher, an artist, a parent may serve their purpose through their roles. But purpose is not role. It's important. Purpose is the essence behind the why you are drawn to that role. A role is what you do at a specific season of your life. Purpose, on the other hand, is the why that fuels those roles. Now, this is important because we live in a world that wants you to define yourself and put the sense, base your sense of value, your identity on the roles you play. It's important that you understand that purpose is not role, so that when something happens, that the role change. It doesn't reduce your sense of self. Your identity is not scattered because you realize that you are not what you do, that you are not your role, that your purpose is not your role. A role is like a vehicle, right? And purpose is the engine. We can change the vehicle, we can repaint them, we can change the window, we can change the body of the vehicle. But the engine is the purpose. The engines remain. So purpose is the engine, while role is the body of the vehicle. Another point I want to talk about or discuss is purpose connects you to service. Purpose connects you to service. At its highest level, purpose is not self-centered. It is always about contribution, using what you have to make a difference in society. Purpose is found at a point where your deepest care, what you care about, meets the needs of the world. It's important. And this is also important in terms of personal leadership. Because if you want to become a leader, if you are going to become a leader, you are going to become, the fastest way is through service. Like some people will call servant leadership. In our world today, when you just stand up to solve a problem, to talk about sense and injustice in the world, to contribute, to give your gifts, to make a difference in the society, and you do that passionately, you inspire people, and when you inspire people, people submit to your leadership, and they begin to see you as a leader in that area. So purpose is not about it's not self-centered. Your gifts is of no use, it's of no use if it doesn't serve people. So purpose is about contribution, is about impact. So I want to leave you with these questions to reflect. What are you deeply passionate about? Now, I want you to write down anything that comes to you, right? Don't hesitate. Don't stop. If it's 20, put them down. What are the things that you are passionate about? What are you naturally good at? What values do you hold most dear to you? What are the problems you see in society that you feel driven to solve, to address? And lastly, I want you to, when you write this thing down, where do these overlap? Right? What is the point of intersection? That is a pointer to your purpose. So write these things down, and also write these things down. This is going to be also part of an assignment I want you to do. Write down 5 things you love doing, even if no one paid you for that. Write down 5 things you love doing, even if no one paid you. What are the things you just love doing? To some other persons, it's work. Some other people do it, to earn a salary. But it's something that you love doing, that you can do it even when no one, even if nobody paid you. Also, write down 5 things that people have said you are good at. Write down 3 values that are non-negotiable for you. Lastly, write down 3 problems in the world that bothers you. Right? 3 problems in the world that bothers you deeply. Then begin to notice an overlap. Begin to notice where there is an overlap. All right? Begin to notice where there is an overlap. That is a pointer to purpose, your purpose, a pointer to where you are designed, where you are equipped, where you are gifted to make a difference in the world, where you are equipped to become a leader. All right, so that will be the end of today's section. And like I always say, I might have said some things that is not clear to you. So I want you to put down your questions in the comment section, and I will attend to that. And also, please remember to the assignments, right? The questions I want you to answer for yourself, by yourself. I want you to take them serious, put them down, and reflect on them. Then if you have a question regarding those questions, I also want you to put them down in the comments section, okay? Because that will be very, very instrumental as we continue in this series. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Huh?